I'm Tom Middendorp. I'm a former military. I've been in the military for almost 40 years, up till Chief of Defense, which I've done for 5.5 years. I retired 8 years ago and focused at the climate security nexus. I lead a global network on climate and security, and I'm a special envoy on European defense cooperation. I saw how climate change really shapes the security environment that we work in, how the increasing droughts put millions of people into despair, making desperate choices, creating instability in regions, creating migration flows, extremism, etc. And I was concerned about that. I was concerned about the future that we leave behind for our children. I think there are 4 criteria. The first one is that we need to be resilient by design. Protecting energy systems is not something that you can add to the current energy system. You really need to redesign them. How can we make them cyber-proof? How can we make them shock-proof against sabotage, against climate events, hot weather or flooding? So it's by design. The second one is how can we create energy systems that are as decentralized as possible and as centralized as needed, because decentralization makes energy systems less vulnerable. If you have 1,000 decentralized energy systems, it's much harder to attack that. It's less vulnerable than when you have a few very centralized systems that are very vulnerable. And the third part would be make them modular as possible, kind of a plug-and-play system. The innovation is going very rapidly. We see new innovations every year. So you have to be able to replace older systems with newer systems in the generation of energy, but also the storage and the distribution of energy. And that should make an energy system very flexible and modular, so that you can have this rapid innovation continuously. And the fourth element would be about cooperation. We all bring pieces of the solution to the table, the net providers, the tech companies, the governments, but none of us has the complete solution. We need to cooperate more intensely, publicly, privately, and build new kinds of partnerships. I think they can help protect us because they are less vulnerable. It can make us more autonomous on energy, which means that we don't depend on very long fossil fuel supply lines like we are seeing now in the Strait of Hormuz that make us very vulnerable. It can also help us to become more locally autonomous. And if you have a lot of local autonomous energy systems, that's very hard to disrupt with cyber attacks, because you have multiple locations where it is located instead of a few centralized locations. So in that sense, energy transition can help us reduce vulnerabilities, reduce dependencies, and build resilience. I think we need to look at it as a win-win-win situation. Energy transition is about more than climate mitigation. Energy transition is also about building resilience in our nations. It's about creating more autonomy in our nations so that we are less dependent upon other regions. So it's also about security. And energy transition is also about economy. Through energy transition, we can avoid economy to be disrupted, and we can provide new economic opportunities, because we now are building companies like Calista that work in that area, and that provides new opportunities. And in the political arena, you often see this illusion of choice. So they think we have to choose between climate, security, or economy. In my opinion, it's not a choice. They are all three important, and they are all three urgent, but the answer is the same. Energy transition is part of that answer. It can help deal with all three of these urgencies, and that makes energy transition a very strong case. No, I'm not a pessimist. Of course, there are many problems that we are facing, but we have always had crises, we have always had problems. We had world wars, we had COVID, you name it. We always overcame it because and I have a firm belief in our ability to survive. I have a firm belief in our ability to innovate, to change, but I'm concerned about urgency. Because we only change when we feel the need to change. But when you feel the need to change, you're too late. It's in the Netherlands, you can't build a dike during a storm. You have to do that before the storm. And I think that's the leadership challenge we are facing. But I do see, what makes me positive is that I do see a much broader movement now to addressing climate change. Climate change used to be a green left-wing topic, but it's now connected to hard security. It's now connected to economic security, to energy security, and that brings it more together. And the solution of energy transition is a solution to all these problems together. So that gives me more hope that we can accelerate.